Yo, what's up guys? C-Jax back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing a mixture of a prediction slash rant for why I think Survivor Series might be mid. I'm going to break down what I think will happen during the PLE and why I don't think it's going to be that great just off of what we know before going into the PLE. Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to be posting their predictions and all this stuff, but there's no point in really doing a full-on prediction video if you already know what's going to happen in 85% of the events that are taking place inside of the PLE. So that's just the simple facts about it. And until last night's Raw, there was only 3 matches on the card, meaning that nothing has truly been built up to the extent that it needs to be to warrant them being on the card. So they had to force out things like LA Knight versus Shinsuke, Braun versus Sheamus versus Ludwig. Cody Rhodes is not defending his belt, but for some reason he's defending it at Saturday Night Main Event. If he was a true John Cena schedule workhorse champion, he would just defend it at Survivor Series. Maybe it ends in DQ by Kevin Owens, and then Cody fights him again at Saturday Night Main Event in a no DQ, an Extreme Rules, no holds barred, whatever. But again, we don't have workhorse champions, and we don't have the work ethic and the ability to double book these champions. Cody Rhodes can't wrestle 2 matches in 3 weeks because that's too much for him. Anyways, then we also have, Cody isn't defending his belt, like I said. Rhea Ripley is acting like Batman. What can you do? So let's get into this prediction slash rant on what I think will happen at Survivor Series and why it might suck. First off, I'm going to get the big elephant out of the room, okay? Now, this is not a match on the card, but this needs to be addressed immediately. Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens is now taking place at Saturday night's main event for the WWE Championship. This match should be taking place at Survivor Series. Let me explain to you what should have happened with this. Cody Rhodes is supposed to be the quote-unquote workhorse champion with the John Cena schedule, right? He should be defending the championship at dang near every PLE. Actually, every PLE. What should happen is he should fight Kevin Owens at Survivor Series for the title. Maybe KO loses by DQ, or maybe KO lets his rage gets the best of him and accidentally, does the thing where they hit the ref and then, they try to go for the pin and they can count to like 15, right? The crowd's counting to 20, but the ref's not up, so it doesn't matter. And then he gets the ref back up, but then Cody ends up winning. Or KO, like I said, could lose by DQ, and then that way it sets up a no-holds-barred or an Extreme Rules match for them at Saturday Night Main Event, making things more engaging and interesting. It makes absolutely no sense for LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura to be on this card with 2 weeks of build-up, and there has been no build-up. We'll talk about that in a second, but somehow that's on the card, and Cody versus KO, which has like a month of build-up, and actually had a very good promo segment last week on SmackDown, and that's not on the card. You see what I'm saying? They already are hampering this show of Survivor Series, so that dampens it a little bit. Now let's get into the first match. LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. This is simply a disaster. I don't know why this is on the card, other than the fact that, like I said, they have to rush matches out because they had nothing built up to for Survivor Series besides the Bloodline War Games and, I guess, Priest and Gunther, which that also sucks, but we'll talk about that a little later. This feud is terrible so far. LA Knight and Shinsuke have done absolutely nothing together. There's no build-up. There's no promo between the two. And outside of that, there's been a few random attacks where like Shinsuke shows up from behind and like hits LA Knight in the back of the head. But other than that, they haven't interacted, if you get what I'm saying. There's no segments, there's no promos, they haven't really had a full-on fair brawl or anything like that. This is a forced match to throw out on the card so they can fit the 5-match quota. There's no argument about it. I like LA Knight. LA Knight is amazing. He's probably the best current champion out of everybody on the roster. The only exception is maybe Braun Breaker, but LA Knight is, to me, I think he's the best current champion on the entire main roster. Right? I like him. But at the end of the day, he's going to win this match in 10 minutes. It's predictable. This feud is boring. Nothing's happened with it. And out of every feud that LA Knight has done probably in the last year and a half, this is by far the worst one to get a match on a PLE. I mean, this is a disaster. They haven't done anything. So this match was thrown out on the card because, like I said, you had 3 matches before last night. So what else can we force in to make it, get to 5 matches and to put something else on the card? So they figured they put LA Knight, one of their top faces, and that's that. This match is going to be boring most likely, and I don't really care who wins. I'm assuming LA Knight's going to win in about 10 minutes, like I said, but hey, who knows, man? They may let Shinsuke win just out of sympathy because, he's getting older and he's probably going to retire soon, and he's also a jobber, so who knows? Then we have the World Heavyweight Championship match between Gunther and Damian Priest. This feud is absolutely horrible. I told you guys in my Raw review yesterday I was going to talk about this in today's video, and at the end of the day, the bottom line is Gunther is going to win. So that means that all of this stuff of him being afraid of Damian Priest to the point where he can't even utter a word to Damian Priest because he didn't win clean at SummerSlam, so now he just feels less than Damian Priest, who's accomplished basically nothing in comparison to Gunther. Gunther's the longest IC champion reign. He has the longest IC champion reign of all time. He is a world heavyweight champion. How in the world are you afraid of someone who you didn't beat clean, but then a few months ago, you didn't beat Randy Orton clean at King of the Ring, but you had the audacity to talk down to Randy Orton, who's one of the greatest of all time, a 14-time world champion. You're talking down to Randy Orton, but you don't want to talk down to Damian Priest. This doesn't make any sense. And then he was also talking down to Cody Rhodes, who's the WWE champion, but now he doesn't want to talk down to Damian Priest. He can't even utter a word. It makes absolutely no sense. And they're doing all of this and booking Gunther like a wimp just so he can win against Damian Priest on Saturday, probably by interference from the Judgment Day. So what is the point of this? It's ridiculous at this point. Enjoy that voice crack, by the way. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is ridiculous at this point. There's no point of this match. Gunther is going to win, and Damian Priest at this point is a forced main eventer, and his promos sound very scripted. They don't sound polished. There's not much charisma behind it. It's kind of just, he cuts like gimmick promos. You can tell that they're scripted out what he's going to say. He's trying to deliver it in like I'm a cool guy kind of cadence, and it just doesn't work. It's not good. This promo, all the promos they've done make no sense. The story behind it is boring, and I'm tired of seeing Damian Priest in the main event scene. I'm really tired of it at this point. This genuinely could have been Seth Rollins versus Gunther. Literally, it could have been Seth Rollins versus Gunther. Why is it Damian Priest? You know what I'm saying? Why is this not Sheamus versus Gunther for the World Championship? It just doesn't work. None of this makes any sense, and it's a very boring feud, but Damian Priest is going to lose. He's either going to lose clean, or he's going to lose by interference from Finn Balor, or Dominic Mysterio, or JD McDonough, or something in the Judgment Day. Then we have arguably the worst match on the card, which, again, this is just mind-boggling to me. The Women's War Games match it's being booked horrendously. It's being booked awfully, and I can explain it just like this. The heels should technically win this match, if you think about it, right? They have the Miss Money in the Bank, Tiffany Stratton. They have Raquel Rodriguez, who's supposed to be some big bad enforcer who runs away whenever Rhea Ripley gets in the ring. They have Candice LeRae, who, hey, she's a jobber, but, she's on the team. I don't know. Nia Jax and Liv Morgan are both Women's World Heavyweight Champions. Well, Liv Morgan's the Women's World Heavyweight Champion, and Nia Jax is the WWE Champion, but they're both the World Champions of the Women's Division. So with that type of stacked team, you should not be losing to Bayley, who lost to Nia Jax. You should not be losing. She lost to Nia Jax twice, actually. You should not be losing to Bianca Belair, who I'm pretty sure lost to Nia Jax like 4 months ago as well in the lead up to King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. And then also, Bayley, or I already talked about Bayley, but who else is even on the team? I can't even remember the jobbers. Naomi, who lost to Nia Jax. Who else is here? Rhea Ripley, who thinks she's Batman. But again, this is the thing that makes no sense about this entire feud. If Rhea Ripley really wants to get her hands on Liv Morgan, why don't you just wrestle on Raw? Just wrestle on Raw. You have 2 matches on Raw all year. If you want to earn your spot and get a rematch for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, which realistically, Rhea Ripley should already have this rematch. What happened to rematch clauses? Especially when you've, lost a title that you never lost, yeah. I'm going to take back what I never lost, yeah. That's what Rhea says, but she doesn't fight for it. So what's the point? If you want to get your hands on Liv Morgan, show up to War Games, beat her up, and leave the ring. There's no other reason for you to be there then, apparently, right? If Rhea Ripley just 1v4s or 1v5s everyone on Raw each week anyways when she's in the Brawl segment, who cares? Who cares? This is stupid, right? The Women's War Games build-up now is just an absolute joke. You have story threads that should be developed on, like Bianca, her past with Damage Control, Io's past with Bayley that led to a Mania 40 match this year where Bayley won the championship. And instead, there's no build-up, there's no moments and segments, there's no promos, there's none of that. None of it. And Jade Cargill gets written off with an injury so that we can get Bayley in the match just for them to not deliver on any of the past story dynamics and threads with these people. It is a disaster. And then this is the worst part about the entire situation. Overall, the result does not matter. And it makes no sense if the faces were to win the match, but I'm predicting that the faces are going to win the match. I think Team Bianca or Team Rhea is going to win. Liv Morgan is likely going to get pinned by Rhea Ripley, actually. And at the end of this match, we're probably going to get Tiffany Stratton cashing in while everyone on her team is laid out. I think she's going to cash in on either Liv or Nia, but most likely Nia Jax. That is exactly what I think is going to happen at this PLE and with this match. But when you really think about it, how are the faces going to win this match? Everything's in disarray for them. We saw it in the segments last night on Raw. Everything's kind of, they're argumentative with each other, argumentative, whatever you want to call it. They're arguing with each other. Everything's not in unison, right? The heels seem in much unison. They're working together. They're laughing together. They're thinking together and talking together in the backstage segments. And they also have a more stacked roster, as I went through before. So how do the heels end up losing? You book yourself into a corner because the faces make no sense to win and the heels make no sense to lose. But the heels also don't really make that much sense to even be in this match to begin with, right? It's just a makeshift team of a bunch of jobbers. So Again, I don't really care who wins this match. I'm going to predict that the Team Rhea wins this match and that Rhea pins Liv. But again, the overall result doesn't matter. If Team Rhea wins, nothing changes. If Team Nia Jax wins, nothing changes. So the point of this match is just to throw up a women's War Games match for War Games. It's terrible and it makes no sense. So that's that. And then we have Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig for the Intercontinental Championship. This match is likely going to be an absolute car wreck, and it is cool to see Ludwig Kaiser getting some shine on a PLE in a championship match. This is pretty unique. It's interesting. He's done some pretty solid work over the last few months, in my opinion, so, for him to get this opportunity, good for him. But the point is that this match is going to be good, right? I am excited for this match, even though it doesn't have good build-up and it was a little bit rushed. It's really just been a bunch of brawls and physicality, and now we're getting a match. It works, though, for this feud, because unlike LA Knight and Shinsuke, physicality isn't enough. LA Knight is a great promo worker, and Shinsuke is supposed to do all these great segments and all this other stuff, this technicality, hidden layer storytelling. So the build for that doesn't make any sense, because it's just 2 knees and then we get a match for the U.S. title at Survivor Series. But this feud works, because Braun Breaker is an absolute meathead and a savage who's just, hell-bent on just destroying people. Sheamus is a brawler, right? We know this. He's here to put on banger after banger after banger, And Ludwig at this point is just a savage as well, who just hates Sheamus and hates Braun Breaker and is trying to make a name for himself. Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself, yeah. But yeah, Ludwig's trying to make a name for himself, right? So now at this point, we're just going to witness an absolute car wreck in which Braun Breaker is likely going to retain his Intercontinental Championship, but look for this match to likely be the most entertaining in-ring match of the night outside for probably the Bloodline War Games match. This match should be very fun. There should probably be some announce tables breaking, some barricades destroyed, some run around the ring spears by Braun Breaker, and some absolute savagery from Sheamus. So I'm looking forward to this. The build-up isn't great, but again, for these type of characters and their archetypes and their stories, they're meant to be these savage, brawlers and dudes who are just there to put on a fight and win gold. That's what they're there for, and so the build-up for this has actually been good when you really break it down. And then we get the main event, which is the Bloodline versus the New Bloodline. The OG Bloodline versus the Bloodline 2.0, whatever you want to call it. In ring, this match likely is not going to be incredible. Right now, I'm just talking about the strictly moveset wise. Now, I will say, if you bring in tables, you bring in weapons, you bring in spots, then this match could be absolutely phenomenal. But what I'm saying is that, like I said before in multiple videos, the only great in-ring wrestlers inside of this match in this current state are Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu, Sami Zayn, and to an extent, Tama Tonga. Those are the only people who can execute a bunch of different moves in different ways. Roman Reigns, he has the jumping clothesline, the spears, the Superman punches, the Samoan drops. He has all kinds of stuff, the clotheslines, all that crap. But at the end of the day, Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso have the same moveset. You get what I'm saying? CM Punk right now, I hate to say it because he's still a big draw in wrestling and he cuts good promos and he will go down as an all-time great, right? But right now, CM Punk's conditioning just simply isn't that good in the ring. All of his matches with Drew McIntyre, if you actually watch them and go back and look at them, all of those matches are really carried by Drew McIntyre defensively and offensively. Drew McIntyre is the one putting in the hard work of the selling. He's doing most of the offense. Just like at the Bull Rope match and even in the Hell in a Cell match, Drew McIntyre, in my opinion, did most of the offense. He did all of the heavy lifting, while Punk only had maybe 6 to 7 moves of offense in the Hell in a Cell match. He didn't really do a lot, quite frankly, if you really look at it. Now, at the end of the day, it's still going to be interesting to see all these people in the ring, storytelling-wise, because Jacob Fatu is a good in-ring wrestler. Tama Tonga's solid, but Solo, Tongaloa, oh yeah, Bronson Reed also. Bronson Reed is going to be an absolute unit inside of this match. He should be really fun to watch. So this match overall, in-ring, when you incorporate storytelling and actual in-ring wrestling, it's probably going to end up being very great because of the hype and the intrigue. This is probably the most hype Bloodline or hype War Games match probably ever at this point. I mean, it's just the facts at this point, right? But this match, at the end of the day, really comes down to a few key elements. Roman and Punk getting along. What is Paul Heyman doing? That is the biggest question here. Another big question. Paul Heyman's alliance. There has been some recent shirts that released on WWE Shop that show Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman in a picture with the 1316 tag on it because, Roman's title reign was 1316 days. And then there's a picture of Paul Heyman and Punk on their shirt that's 434 days. And it makes you wonder, is Paul Heyman going to turn on Roman Reigns? Because on Punk's shirt, it says hashtag the wise man on it or something like that, but it doesn't say any of that writing for the Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman shirt, so who knows? You have to look at the little subtle details, you know what I'm saying? Paul Heyman also could turn on CM Punk and Roman Reigns in favor of the final boss, The Rock. I could see The Rock returning at the end of this PLE to reveal that he was the one pulling all the strings the whole time, and he is the real leader of this new bloodline, setting up maybe the new bloodline potentially turning on Solo Sikoa, right? And then that sets up Solo maybe has to go help out Roman again or something like that, but The Rock reveals he's the head of the new bloodline. Maybe Bronson Reed becomes his enforcer, Jacob Fatu becomes his right-hand man, and at the end of this match, maybe the heels pull out a W over the OG bloodline. You also have the possibility of Seth Rollins showing up. The fact that he wasn't on Raw last night makes me think that he's going to do a surprise appearance at Survivor Series and either beat up CM Punk or beat up Roman Reigns or do something to, be involved in this match somehow, some way, and getting back at Punk or Roman in this match. Or maybe even at the OG bloodline just as a whole. So you never know what's going to happen with that. But overall, if I had to put money on it, I think that the OG bloodline is going to walk out victorious, but I still do think that we could see a Heyman heel turn or a Rock appearance at some point inside of this PLE. Same with Seth Rollins as well. But at the end of the day, I think it makes most sense for the OG bloodline to kind of get the one up. This is why the new bloodline of heels won at Crown Jewel, to set up the OG bloodline eventually winning at Survivor Series War Games, in my personal opinion. Either way, with the potential cameos of The Rock and Seth Rollins, I think that adds something to this match. Seeing Roman and Punk interact adds something to this match, and I think all the spots you can do, like a potential tsunami off the cage, tsunami, you know what I'm saying? Jacob Fatu with the moonsault, Roman Reigns' spears, the Usos doing the splashes, Sammy's crazy in the ring, he's really good, and Punk will hit a GTS or two. He probably won't do a lot in the match, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, I do think the OG bloodline walks out victorious, but I think The Rock could still show up, and Seth Rollins may get involved as well, or he might beat the crap out of CM Punk before the match even starts. No matter what happens, this match is going to be hype, it's going to be exciting, and it's by far the most hype match that we've probably gotten since Roman and Cody at WrestleMania 40. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, that's my prediction and my rant on why I think that Survivor Series, all in all, is likely going to be mid outside of 2 matches. So let me know what you think in the comment section below of the card, of the PLE. What do you think will go down? And as always, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day. Peace out. One love.